Hi guys, I'm back again today with another video, and today we're checking out countries warning their citizens not to visit the United States in 2025. Yeah, before we start, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell button, and let's see what countries are and how are they warning their people. Let's begin.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got something pretty intriguing to talk about 10 countries that have advised their citizens against traveling to the US. It's a pretty intense topic, and the reasons behind it are varied, but it boils down to heightened travel restrictions, safety concerns, and some shifting international relations. So, why are these countries now urging caution when it comes to visiting the United States? Stick with me, and let's take a deep dive into each one. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe and let's get into it. First up is the United Kingdom. In March 2025, the British government updated its travel advisory, warning citizens about increasingly strict entry requirements when heading to the US. The advisory emphasizes that even with valid visas or ASJ approvals, British nationals might still be detained at US borders. There's been an uptick in reports of UK travelers being held up for things like small overstays or lack of clear travel plans, all following Trump's tougher immigration policies. While the UK isn't outright banning US travel, it's definitely a word of caution. The UK sends millions of visitors to the US each year, so this advisory could significantly impact travel plans. Some UK citizens are now reconsidering their trips, fearing a chilly reception at the border. This is likely fueled by both Trump's strained relationship with the EU and his stance on trade. For now, the UK is recommending that travelers double-check their documents and be prepared for heightened scrutiny. Moving on to Germany, which has also raised concerns about traveling to the US. The German government recently reminded its citizens that even if they have the right paperwork, US authorities can still refuse entry at their discretion.
That's a lot of
There's
two.
no official ban, but there have been several cases of Germans being detained for minor infractions like overstays or unclear travel intentions. This heightened caution stems from Trump's administration's more aggressive stance on border security. Germany sends around 1.8 million travelers to the US every year, so this advice will likely affect a significant number of people. Some Germans are already opting to cancel or postpone trips due to this increased risk. On top of that, Germany's progressive policies, especially regarding LGBTQ+ rights, have led to concerns about discrimination, particularly in light of Trump's recent remarks about gender identity. This combination of factors has created a more hesitant atmosphere for potential travelers. Canada is also among the countries warning its citizens about the U.S. The Canadian government has recently advised anyone staying in the U.S. for more than 30 days to register with U.S. authorities. This comes after a Canadian woman was detained for several days due to a misunderstanding over her visa status. In fact, Canadian MP Charlie Angus even suggested that Canadians should avoid visiting the U.S. unless absolutely necessary, referring to the situation as a tyranny. While Canada isn't saying don't go, it's clear that the situation is becoming more complicated, especially for those crossing the border frequently. With many Canadians regularly visiting the U.S. for vacations or family visits, this advisory is a big deal. Tensions between Canada and the U.S. have been high ever since Trump made controversial comments about turning Canada into the 51st state, further fueling the unease. Canadians are now being urged to ensure all documentation is in order to avoid potential issues at the border. Next on the list is Denmark, which has issued a
Oh.
specific warning for transgender travelers. The Danish government has noted that due to the U.S. two-gender recognition policy, those with passports indicating an X for gender may face denial of entry. As a
I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, okay, first and foremost, I didn't know you could put X as a gender. Sorry. I mean, I know there are transgender, but I didn't know that was option now. Maybe because Europe is like very like open when it comes to LGBTQ plus. Like you guys have more advanced when it comes to like you're more advanced in that stuff. Here in the Philippines, we're still female male, right? So it sucks for everyone else. Um, and I didn't even know that before. Like it was okay for the US if you had like X as your gender, but now it's like Trump is like It's you're either a girl or boy, and that's it. And or if not, then we will take you back. Like, what kind of craziness is that? I don't know how the laws are when it comes to transgender traveling around the world. We need to check on that because I didn't even know that was a thing. So, if, like, example, if you're from Denmark, right, and you have X on your, I don't know if it's in the passport. I'm so uneducated about this topic. If it's in your passport, and let's say you come to the Philippines, wherein we don't have that, what happens? Or are the officers in the Philippines educated and they're like, okay, this is that, but then but our country is so free when it comes to those things. I know it's so called Catholic and it's conservative, but there's a lot of transgenders in the Philippines and other sexuality in the Philippines. Like, we have so much. We're like close to Thailand, right? So I don't think it's something that they will like turn you away for over here at least. But I didn't know in America it was like even your sexuality will be a cause for you to get denied. That is crazy.
Those with passports indicating an X for gender may face denial of entry. As a result, Danish citizens, especially those who are trans or non-binary, are being encouraged to contact the U.S. Embassy before planning any travel. Denmark is also warning that even with valid visas or ASTA approvals, entry isn't guaranteed. Denmark's liberal stance on gender issues has contributed to the discomfort with the U.S. policies, particularly under the Trump administration. While it's not a total ban, it's certainly a message of caution, especially for those in the LGBT+ community. With around
Mm.
400,000 Danes visiting the U.S. annually, the advisory is likely to impact some travelers who may now consider alternative destinations. Following Denmark, we have Finland. Finland's travel advisory also emphasizes caution for transgender and
Mostly Europe,
non-binary
huh?
travelers, citing the same concerns about gender recognition as Denmark. The U.S.'s stricter immigration rules have created an atmosphere where Finnish citizens, particularly those with non-binary gender markers, may face difficulties at the border. Finland is urging its citizens to contact the U.S. Embassy before making travel plans to avoid any surprises. Like Denmark, Finland is concerned with the U.S. growing intolerance toward LGBT+ rights and the potential for travelers to face discriminatory treatment. With around 300,000 Finnish visitors to the U.S. every year, this advisory could make people rethink their plans. It's not an outright ban, but it's a strong recommendation to be extra careful when navigating U.S. immigration. Now, let's talk about France. While the French government hasn't fully restricted travel to the U.S., they've updated their guidance to warn travelers about potential border complications. They've pointed out that U.S. authorities have been increasingly strict, and even those with valid ESTA or visa documents might be turned away. France sends over 1 million tourists to the U.S. each year, so this advisory is likely to resonate with a large number of travelers. Many French citizens are concerned about the U.S.'s shifting stance on immigration and LGBTQ rights, especially in the wake of Trump's rhetoric. The French government hasn't gone as far as telling citizens not to go, but they are advising caution. Travelers are being urged to be prepared for long questioning and potential delays, with the understanding that the U.S. is no longer the easygoing destination it once was. Next up is New Zealand. The New Zealand government has raised its warning for travelers to the U.S., especially regarding stricter border enforcement. Even with an ESTA, New Zealand citizens might still face delays or detention if there's any issue with their documentation. Recent reports of Kiwis being sent back from U.S. airports have sparked concern, and this could impact the 400,000 New Zealanders who visit the U.S. each year. The government has made it clear that while travel is still possible, it's becoming more uncertain. Some New Zealanders are questioning whether a trip to the U.S. is worth the hassle, given the increased risk of being detained. This shift in travel advice comes as tensions between the U.S. and New Zealand continue to rise, particularly around trade policies and international relations. Australia is another country on the list of those cautioning against travel to the
Hmm.
U.S. The Australian government has issued a travel warning, advising citizens to expect more thorough checks at U.S. borders, even if they have all the correct paperwork. Australia sends over 1 million travelers to the U.S. annually, so this warning is significant. There have been multiple reports of Australians being detained or questioned for extended periods at U.S. airports, and it's causing some travelers to rethink their plans. The advisory notes that the U.S. government's border enforcement is becoming stricter and entry is no longer guaranteed. While it's not a full-on ban, Australians are being told to make sure their travel documents are in order to avoid complications. With the U.S. relationship with Australia becoming more strained, particularly under Trump's leadership, many Aussies are now hesitant about visiting, despite the country's long-standing alliance with the U.S. Ireland is also recommending caution when traveling to the U.S. The
Hmm.
Irish government has updated its advisory to warn citizens about stricter U.S. border checks, noting that even valid travel documents might not guarantee entry. The advisory highlights the growing number of reports about Irish travelers being detained or turned away at U.S. airports, which has raised concern. Around 800,000 Irish citizens visit the U.S. each year, and the government is urging them to be prepared for long questioning or potential delays. While safety isn't the main issue, the U.S. increasingly strict entry requirements are making the process more complicated. This shift follows a series of comments from Trump criticizing the EU, which has created a tense atmosphere for Irish travelers. While it's not a ban, Ireland is advising its citizens to be extra cautious when planning a trip to the U.S. Finally, the Netherlands has updated its travel advice as
Mm.
well. The Dutch government is warning citizens that, even with an ESTA or visa, they may still face difficulties when entering the U.S. There have been several cases of Dutch nationals being detained at the border, and this is making many reconsider their travel plans. The Netherlands sends around 900,000 tourists to the U.S. every year, and this advisory could significantly impact travel numbers. The Dutch government is urging travelers to be prepared for increased scrutiny at U.S. borders. Trump's policies, particularly regarding LGBTQ+ rights and his criticisms of the EU, have added to the tension between the two countries. While it's not an outright travel ban, Dutch citizens are being advised to double-check their travel documents to avoid any complications when crossing the border.
I'm gonna
And
check.
that's it. 10 countries warning their citizens about travel to the U.S. in 2025. From stricter
Philippines.
border checks to growing political tensions, things are changing fast. Do you think these travel warnings are fair, or are they just an overreaction? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Oh,
Hey everyone!
okay. There's not. Yeah, no. Where is that? We don't have any advisory on ours, but I know that US has. I don't know if Philippines posted anything. I don't even know if they care, but I do know that US has posted like something about the Philippines, like Philippine travelers, like US immigration should be cautious about Filipino travelers, like double check everything. Because obviously, I mean, I do not fault them, but we do have a lot of people who go there and stay there without legal documents. Not a lot, but let's say a few people, because most people go there legally, obviously. But we have a few circumstances that people do that. Um, s- so hopefully everybody goes illegally. And the other circumstances though is absurd. The other circumstances that they hold people is crazy. Oh, I didn't fill out this correctly, so you're being denied. Your gender is not of male or female, so you're being denied. Like, what are those excuses? But anyways, let me know if you're going this year and where you from. What I've noticed is mostly European countries and then Canada, right? So I don't know about the rest of the world. Maybe we just didn't get warned by our country. That's it. But obviously, it's gonna be even more like hard for people from countries like ours, right? So if that is the case for those European countries and Canada, how much more our country, right? It's gonna be intense. It could be like 24 hours in the immigration, right? That's what I'm thinking. But anyways, beautiful peeps, thank you for joining and I will see you in the next video. Bye.